Hello there. Let's swing into fall.
Has anybody seen Jack?
Nope.
He went to Angel's Nook and got a makeover. What?
Well, it's about time he joined us.
Hi, I'm Jack. Watch Angel's Nook. Transform me from this.
To this, I'm so smoking hot. Thank you, Angel.
Hi, welcome to Angel's Nook, where anything can become a canvas for creativity. Furniture is just the beginning. Be prepared to be inspired by a wide range of projects and finishing techniques. Be sure to click subscribe so you don't miss any of the new videos. This was painted for a friend who's going to use it outdoors, so I purposely used Heirloom Tradition paints because this is not going to fade, chip, peel, change at all for years and years and years. The pieces here that have been added, holes have been drilled in the top. You can see I can't pull them out easily, but they're going to stay in place, but they are not glued. That way they can be thrown away and replaced when these start to fade out. The other piece that works well with this is that it can be turned around and it becomes just a fall pumpkin. So now you've got 2 months worth of use out of it instead of 1. If you look at these other pumpkins, they were also done, this is their 3rd season. So they were also done using similar techniques to this. All of them have been painted. They all very clearly showed that they were cheap pumpkins that I bought on clearance. Then I painted them using the same methods as this. It makes a huge difference in how they look, whether they look like a pumpkin you pulled out of the patch, or whether it's just an orange plastic piece that you have picked up and tossed out. And it doesn't take that much time. These were all also done with heirloom, so they can hold up outdoors as well. So instead of tossing it, you've got something you can use again for years, and even if you bought it new and it was plain orange, paint it, make it look better. We all lined up with outdoor items that are very expensive to replace. This one has faded badly, but it's still solid. There's no cracks in it, no breakage. So I'm going to make it look more like a real pumpkin rather than plastic. First step, it's already been cleaned really well to get all the outside debris off of it. But now I'm using something called a Deglosser surface prep, which will not only finish cleaning this, but will etch the surface so that the paint really adheres to this. All right. If you want to make a pumpkin look real, rather than just bright orange, fake bright orange, you have to apply bright colors first and then mute them. This is a corally orange called Sunrise by All in One Paint. And it's going to act as my base coat. I don't care if I get some up onto the stem, because that's going to help me blend this stem into a better looking piece. It's already looking better, just with some brighter color on it. pumpkins also aren't gray on the inside. They have a rich orange flesh in them. Unless it's the white pumpkins. Some of them have a yellow flesh. But either way, this pumpkin's gonna have a facelift. And I want to smooth out those brush strokes. So this goes back. To looking like the outside. One of the things with this paint is you do not want to apply it letting it thin out on the brush. You want a good coat of paint on it, which is scary if you've painted before and you think, oh my gosh, all these brush strokes are going to be all over this, but they're not. They're going to blend out into a beautiful, even coat of paint. Going across the brush strokes first, which helps blend them better. And yes, I've got lots of bubbles. I don't care. It means I've got a good coat of paint on here. Now, my roller is literally just barely touching the surface. I'm looking for those bubbles. And I just want to pop them. I'm ready to start layering a wide range of colors onto this pumpkin. And just like before, your brighter colors start and your more muted colors are what come to the surface. I'm going to change the camera settings so that hopefully you can see better how I'm doing dry brushing over all of this to start with, and then I'm going to start adding other colors. The mix I have that I'm going to dry brush with is 3 parts of a color called Brick and 1 part of a color called Saddle by All in One Paint. I'm barely going to get my brush tips into this, and then I'm going to pounce to get a lot of it off. And then I'm just going to start pulling down this. You can see some of the lines, but then you can also see that because my brush is so dry and doesn't have much paint on it, it lets me also blend it so that it's not a full stripy effect as it comes down through here. And I want it a little bit deeper into these grooves, so I'm not trying to blend those out as much. I need more paint, so again, mixing the brick and the saddle. Keep my brush from completely gunking up. I'm going to take most of the excess paint out of it and set it aside on another plate. Again, it's working through it. You have to keep your dry brushing going up and down. You can't go crosswise. You have to work fast because this paint will dry super fast. And I still need more paint. Personally, for me, I'd rather mix paint multiple times than do it and have too much left over that I don't need. I'm adding back some depth now that the first layer is partially dry and I've gone through it. I can see where I want more depth. In the grooves, but be sure to soften it. You don't leave it as a straight stripe, because then that's exactly what it looks like, a stripe. This is another method you can use, is pouncing into those grooves to make it even less of a stripy effect. I like the model look better, so I've gone back over some of the places where I was originally just giving it a little more paint left in the groove. Now it's beginning to look more like a natural pumpkin. I'm going to use bits of Envy, Crete, and Trinity. I want green on different places of this because often pumpkins that grow naturally that haven't been hybridized have a lot of different greens on them. So I'm not going to pick up just one of the greens. I'm going to dip into each of them, pounce it, and give myself some areas of mixed green. I'm going to pick up just a little bit more of the Crete, work it in to some other areas here. And I also want to grab a little bit of that brick mixture to work back over it. This section of it, it helps a lot if you have a picture to go by to help you realize where greens naturally show up onto pumpkins. Definitely not all over it, and it's in sporadic areas, not solid color. And by continuing to pounce this, I'm fading out the edges, which is more natural to what nature does. I'm going to use Abbey to create some depth on the scowly jack-o'-lantern face. It's also going to be dry brushing it. He's getting a little more scowly, but to make him even more so, I'm going to dry brush making sure my brush stays aligned with the edges. And you can see the difference between his eyes now. It's not a heavy line. I like that darkness there, so I need to match it on this side. He looks a little bit more ready for Halloween night. I want to mute the green a little bit So I'm going to use Abbey and Brick. Which is going to give me, because of how I'm doing it, it's going to give me a muddied brownish gray. This is a light pouncing, just to subtly mute that green, which will be a little bit hard, probably, for you to see. Camera, but it shows up well here. It's just enough softening, kind of like darkening this right here to give him a little bit more of a scowl. I'll mix my greens to this is Trinity going on first because it's very bright. Not very much like a real stem is. Out. So that you're starting to create true stem color. Adding in some envy. Which softens the green. Green up here. Trinity up here on top. Again, let that dry a little bit while I add some highlights. Crete. It's not very much paint. It's just barely on the tips. So I'm not obliterating any of the colors I've already put on here. Mixed greens up here on top now too. Put a little bit of Crete, the edges of my brush all the way around. Now I'm going to go back, grab the chip brush. Brick. Let that dry for a little bit, and then I'm going to add some more antiquing and color on it. I'm going to be adding a little bit of brown antiquing gel. And a little bit of black antiquing gel onto this. And the dry brush with the brown. And I'm doing the same thing to the bottom here. Pulling a little bit out onto the neck pumpkin. When you want color to fade out into strands, you always have to start where you want the heaviest color to be. I'm using the antiquing brown. To create some dustiness at the bottom of the pumpkin, because if they're sitting in dirt, they are not pristinely clean. I cannot hold by the handle right now. Because it is too wet and it's not going to dry as fast because it has that layer antiquing gel on it, which has more open work time on it. You want to keep pouncing till you have muted any blobs of paint. A little bit of brown finishes, softening. Green again, brown. It's just softly mutes. Now, I need some black. There is very little black antiquing gel on here, but I want to, I'm barely touching this. This is creating some lines. And I modeled down the top, the very, very top. So there's no striations in it anymore. The last color that I want to put on it's a little bit of Tapestry. To create a little bit more dustiness. I don't care. It gets a little bit of the other paint colors in it, because that's pretty much dirt. This is the very, very lightest part. This is a super, super light touch. And you can see on this side that's dry, it's really dried down much more muted than it looked like when I was putting this on here. I'll let these dry, and then tomorrow I'll decide whether or not I want to add anything
Wow,
else to it.
thanks, Angel. Look out, ladies! Here I come.
I make a pretty handsome bat, don't I? I just need to learn how to fly. Ouch! That hurt. This is harder than it looks. Guess I'll try again tomorrow.